was half an hour. Okay, why did I do that? That was 33 minutes, and I was holding my hand out like this. Those guys can. This is actually they've been doing this for like 2 hours, 1 hour, and if these old men can do their dhikr, they're doing dhikr actually. I'm gonna explain the science behind what they're doing, the metaphysics behind what they're doing, the metaphysics behind the trance, and this is scientific too. This is not just metaphysics, not just crazy superstition. You know, this is literally how you induce your brain to vibrate at a certain frequency. Okay, so these are Chechen people from Russia, and their form of mysticism, their form of Islam is very, very authentic. I'm telling you, as in terms of a lot of these scholars and stuff, they were from this whole area of like this whole northern, you know, a lot of the Sahabas, you know, they went up there, because to be honest with you, a lot of the Sahabas were Arabs, which were, okay, they were white, basically they looked white, and a lot of them went to those lands, which are like Russia now. Russia's a very, Moscow and St. Petersburg, they're very, very old cities, okay, and they do matter, and so the Chechens that are Muslims there, like the Chechens and the Bosnians and those people, those kind of Muslims, they're somewhat similar, but the Chechens are more inside Russia, and they have an ancient, very, very ancient tradition, that even when Islam came, they didn't take their cultural tradition out because Islam came and adopted some Arab tradition, like Sunni or something like that. No, they kept, because it didn't contradict. See, it didn't contradict under the understanding of Allah and what Allah is. It didn't contradict. And these Chechens, they had this knowledge, they had this esoteric science of how to like invoke certain energies by becoming in a certain trance. See what they're doing? They're doing something in a rhythmic trance. They're becoming, they're engaging in, like when you go, come on, I'll be honest with you. When I used to go clubbing and stuff, you get into a trance. You freaking are just dancing, and like, you know, you're out of this. You're not yourself anymore. You're taken over by something else. And this is taken over by a frequency of the divine names of Allah, done in a very physical, ritualistic form. Notice how they're going counterclockwise. You know what? It means something. You know, I think they were doing both, weren't they? Yeah, they're doing both, counterclockwise and clockwise. You know, it's that means something. It's a certain kind of rhythm. See, nothing in the dunya happens just by random. It's not random. Everything means something else. Everything you see in the freaking physical, everything you see in your reality means something for your reality. It's not like you're seeing it and your eyes are refracting it. You are the projector. See, this is what I'm talking about. You're the freaking projector. And then what you project out comes back into you via this apparatus. You project out infinity, right? All this like whatever you project out, these vibrations, these things that you project out, and it's projecting back into you, and it's refracting that light, and it's giving back to you a very archaic form of that inner thought. Mm. Mm. That was great. Okay, so it projects back, and if you don't know that, then you will always be at the whims of what is being projected back to you. If you don't know that it's actually you projecting it back to you, the way your reality is, what you see in your reality, it is all for you to kind of understand, to decode. It's like it's trying to wake you up. It's trying to wake you up into, hey, you got to know these sciences, these freaking sciences of how to, like these angels, and how to communicate with them, and how to understand where they're, how to understand, how to get messages out. It's like it's all talking to the inner mind. It's all talking to the inner mind. It's all analogies, allegories, and in kind of like a method, and we've been raised as Muslims that we can't really talk to angels. We can't do these miracles. Only prophets can, and only Sahabas were so good, and this and that. I don't buy into that anymore, because guess what? Because we know we know the illusion. We understand the freaking illusion that's going on. Okay. I mean, Muslims believe what science tells. If the science authority says all these things, then the Muslims will believe in it. And you know what? It's fine to believe in it. I believe in it too. But guess what? I don't let them give me my belief. Like science, quantum universe, mind-bending physics at the small scales is driving innovation and revealing the nature of reality. I mean, they're talking about all this stuff right now. This is Scientific American. It's like at the end, spirituality. Like, I'm talking about spirituality is what created science. Because science is the understanding of the known world, known physical universe. But inside there's infinity. The divine, Allah, is infinity, and we will return to the divine. But that soul that has been breathed into us, or that light that's been given to us, where is it from? Who is it? What is it? It's not outside of Allah. It is literally the divine. That's your, like in a Mega Man or Iron Man, I think he has that thing, that cube. That is literally Allah. Like, literally, it's like, it is. I know it sounds blasphemous to a lot of Muslims to hear this, but science tells you that you're just random. That you can't. They still can't. They still cannot. Fine. Now they're saying that there's the atoms. First, they said that the atoms, like they connected with other atoms that resemble them, and that's why you get the form of, like, the atoms of this is resembling this, and it's been compacted in a certain form, and and it gives it certain kind of flexibility, and but it's like, what gives it that form? What gives anything a form is the consciousness. It's just a bunch of elements. This is just aluminum. It's just a bunch of elements. What gives it a form of this cup to hold water and drink? That thought, the form comes from the higher planes, the mental planes. And now, like, we understand, we take certain, I mean, it's not just aluminum, it's just a bunch of different elements put together, combined, melted or whatnot, and it's just, it represents literally, it represents that knowledge comes from the higher dimension. That knowledge has to come from thought. It comes from you. It comes from the fitra. It comes from that divine intelligence that is within all of us. And when we seek it, you start to seek that consciousness that's within you, and without being told, you have to do it this way. You have to understand it the way I've been told to understand it. You've been told to, we've been told to kind of follow the masses. I've been told all my life, follow the masses, follow the herd, and you'll be safe. It's like, wait a second, security doesn't come from some kind of system you derived out of your mind. Security comes from Allah. Actually, that's another point I'm telling you. Everything comes from the divine, right? Everything is owned by Allah. Allah owns everything, right? Allah owns beauty. Allah owns justice. Allah owns all things. And the thing is, sometimes we think we understand how to get security. To have security, you have to have this kind of job, you have to have this kind of lifestyle, and that's security. And then it's like, no, security doesn't. It's like, it's really hard to explain in our society because we are so intertwined to the security of our physical beingness. That's what we are seeking. We are seeking for the security of our physical beingness, of our ego, of our identity. We fear death. That's the thing. That's the honest fact. The honest fact is, we have become to fear death. Fear death. And why not? Of course. You know what? All these stories about the hellfire. I mean, these are traumatic. I mean, wouldn't you fear death? Wouldn't you fear going to be punished and getting, pus poured into your mouth and, all this stuff because of the sins, you've done? I would be scared. But if you understand that when you understand, it's just, when it's being told to us, it's a metaphor. It's not like our body will cease to exist. What I'm saying is, we transform into a higher frequency. Our soul, our life force, energy that's keeping this body, force together, and you doing your thing. Our job, only job us to you, or to me, my only job is to actually, I'll tell you, like, my only job is to, in my reality, in my life, is to go towards the divine in everything in my life. And that means what my purpose is. I had to find my purpose. I had to find my core. What do I want to do with how do I want to, not just how do I want to survive, because survival is not for me. Survival is I'm always going to survive. You know how many times I've been like negative balance in my bank, like many years ago, and even maybe not too past in the future, not too long time ago, where I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if there's like no money. Is like, I could pay the phone bill, and after the phone bill, I'll have $10 in the account, and it happened where and I didn't fear it. After a while, I was like, you know what? Why do I keep on fearing all these things? Things will happen where it's like, well, I'm not just sitting down and I'm saying is I'm still going on with my lifestyle, as in, like, I'm not worried about, I'm not going to stop going to the gym. I'm not going to stop eating healthy. I'm not going to stop having higher thoughts of what I want to bring, what kind of person I want to be, mentally, physically, financially, all that stuff. I had to restructure the inner me, right? So that required to face the fear of, negative, having no money, and having the likelihood of the phone being cut off, all kinds of things, right? I could let my logical mind imagine, and I can just feed that energy and be really scared, or all that. Or you can be like, you know what? Whatever. I'm still, I can still, go on the internet, because everywhere I go, there's internet, wireless, at the home, and no one calls me. Who texts me? No one freaking texts me. No one texts me. Like, I live off of Facebook, and, like, I seriously have no need for text messaging. I mean, for a phone. I don't call anybody. Who am I going to call? And it's like, I thought about it, and I'm like, why do I have a phone bill? then it's like, okay, yeah, it's convenient when you're out, you know, that's fine. So I have it, okay, and I utilize it. So when I have it out, I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always listening to some kind of you know, teachings of like ancient cultures and stuff like that. A lot of the, you know, and then it gets into being raised as Muslims. We've been raised as only, we don't even, I mean, most of us don't study the Quran. Come on, we don't study the Quran, let alone, okay, so let alone other cultures, or let alone the Old Testament, or these all these occulted books like the Gospel of Barnabas and the Gospel of Thomas, and you know, then you study like ancient Zohar, and then like the Kabbalah, and then you have these Sufi manuscripts, you know, then you have like these Sufi manuscripts from the like ninth century, from a guy named um, Albuni, Albuni, you know, Albuni, something like that, Albuni Ahmed, Sayyid Albuni, and he was a big time scholar, big time scientist, thinker. In fact, my uncle, he wrote a book about thinkers in Islam, and Albuni was one of them. And funny thing is, my uncle, he's very much scientific minded, so all these metaphysical, spiritual stuff that I would talk about, he hated talking about that stuff. And this is about 3 years ago, which my stuff wasn't that knowledgeable yet, you know, as you know, it wasn't as refined. It was more raw. I couldn't really speak about it. But now I'd love to talk to him about this kind of stuff. You know, the metaphysics of light. And then I just was reading today uh, about light, about how, like back in the day, they had these cables, and and the information that would go on the cable would be like, you know, 100 megabytes, you know, maximum, or two, like maybe like 10 lines going through. Like back in the day, you know, you had the switchboard operators, and then the premise is being that the bigger the physical apparatus, the less the energy it can hold. For example, okay, for example, the USD card. For example, the disc, right? The floppy disk. How many people remember that 5-inch floppy disk? I had one. I had a computer, and it held like maybe 10K. You know, it held nothing. It held like some bunch of like, not, you know, people now would be freaking like nonsense. You know, it just coding, and it didn't hold anything. Like DOS coding. That's all it held. And then it got to a smaller one, a little bit smaller, and it was harder. And then it got like, then it got thicker at the same size as, and it held like 100 and like 500K, and people were like, "Oh my God, amazing! This holds 1M. Oh, this one is 10M. Oh my gosh!" You know, I remember that day. You know, back in the time, like this is '97, and then it's like 32M, and then all of a sudden the things got smaller, right? They got smaller and smaller, and now you can. I saw a hard drive. It was like 1 terabyte or something like that, and it was like small, very small. And then I saw like I have a memory thing, SD card. It's a little teeny thing, 128 gigabytes. I was like, what? 128 gigabytes in a small little thing, and I can put that in a bigger SD card and put it in my computer. And I was like, so the smaller the object, the more energy is held into that. And they say that the scientists are finding out now that like the one ray of light can hold like multiple infinities of, not infinity, is can hold the, it's like it's like basically it holds so much energy. One ray of light, intelligence I'm talking about. Like literally you can, It's one ray of light. And when you, that's why people in ancient cultures, they're so obsessed about the sun. They weren't worshiping the freaking sun. They were just, they understood the energy that literally the sun rays that came to you, it did something to you, them. Okay, they imagined the rays of that energy coming to them and kind of like it's not like, oh, I'm worshiping this thing raw. No, it's the sun. It's the soul. And it represents you. Remember, everything is you projected out. So it's like the sun represents your soul. And then, it's all that kind of stuff. It's just metaphysics. This is the dunya, of course. This is the illusion. This is the Maya. This is the matrix. This is the trick. Everything's a trick. But the thing is, you are the one that gets tricked. If it is a trick, don't be tricked. And the trick is like all kinds of things. It tricks you into false sense of security. Now you're worried about it. I'm not saying you let everything caution to the wind, but you don't let it consume your energy. You don't let it give you fear. That's what it is. You don't let that give you fear. You don't let it give you fear. Keep on doing your vigor. Keep on doing your sacred temple, your body. Keep on giving it the high energy. And that thought is the high energy too. And when you're in a high energy thought, you produce better actually. And when I got into the high energy thought, and I didn't worry about anything, and something happened where it's like, they need me for something, and it's $500 that day. And I was like, okay, how did that come about? It's like freaking, and then they ended up taking me for 3 days. That's $1,500. Okay, it's like all out of nowhere, right? But see, that's when you allow. It's almost like a cleansing of that money, and I realized that money that was being used up. It was like a different kind of energy. Okay, it was created by a different kind of energy, and then that energy has to be purified. But then I realized what money is. It has to be circulated. Like literally, money is freaking energy. Do I have my wallet with me? I'm gonna show you something. Okay, this is my chair. It's very comfortable. Yes, it is kind of. If I could, I would smoke a cigar. Okay, money is energy. Okay, literally, that's what money is. Money is energy. And I realized that what I had to do, here's a dollar bill. The treasurer, that's me. See, I'm the treasurer. Why not? It's monopoly money anyways. So when you understand where you get your energy from, if your energy is from, of course, we get energy from what we eat, obviously. But don't we get energy from other people? Aren't we attached to certain situations and people or foods that give you your energy from the soul? It gives your soul energy, it gives you purpose, it gives you happiness, it gives you kind of like belonging and all that stuff. But the thing is, if you only get your energy from that solely, then you are bound to keeping that energy happy. And you will keep yourself the same. No matter if you want to lose weight or you want to become you want to go up in the ladder of financial wealth and, travel more, something like that, you will always you'll be a slave to other people's expectation of you if you only live for the physical flesh feeling and how to, the living for the flesh only. And what I'm saying is that when you let go of the fleshly desires and all that, for what? For the sake of Allah, for the sake of the divine, for the sake of that divine intelligence within you that you're connected to, then something happens where your attachment to the illusionary things, it starts to get purified. In that process of purification, you have to do a lot. I have to do a lot of shadow work. You have to do a lot of shadow work. You have to do a lot of. You have to come to a lot of realizations how. I was my worst enemy, or I was sabotaging myself, or you know what. This is okay. As that happened, as those a lot of these guilt trips that we get put into, even from our family, even from our culture, we become a culture of like, and it's intertwined in Islam where it's not, where we're made to feel guilty by not adhering to some kind of cultural standard, or made to feel guilty for all these kind of guilt, kind of like guilt trips. I think you know what I'm talking about. But it's not. I'm not blaming anybody. It's in the end, you, me, you are the harbor of that energy, of that guilt. And the way to let go of that guilt is having that energy. That energy, when you the guilt is a literal energy. It is a thought form. It is an entity. It is everything, and it lives inside you. Okay, and depending on how strong of a guilt that is, and where it's lodged in your life and your experience, you will definitely, it'll definitely be running you. You know what I mean? You think you're running yourself? No, it's your auto mechanism of self security and self identity, and what you believe about yourself, what you believe about everything, what you believe about your future, what you believe about the future of the everything. What you even, do you get triggered on the media all the time? I mean, what are you following? I see a lot of sadness where when I go online, I see a lot of Muslims, posting a lot of fear or a lot of sarcasm, a lot of anger, a lot of politics. It's like, why do you perpetuate that nonsense? It's a pendulum. It is a dimension, and it only operates. The only power it has is power over you, because you allow them to hold your sense of security. Only if we get this guy elected. I saw somebody, only I'm going to write in Bernie Sanders. He's my savior. It's like, no, you know what your savior is? Allah is your savior. Okay, and that energy from within is within you. And who's the savior? Messiah, right? Don't Muslims believe he was the Messiah to the Jews? What's his name? Jesus, whatever, Isa or Isha, all these different names he has. Okay, it's the same thing. That all humans, all past, present, future, whatever, it's all within your DNA. So that Christ energy is within you too, and you have to resurrect it. You have to build it up into a. It's not like Christ just happened. We don't know much about Christ, like his years before, like how he was as a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 11-year-old or a 22-year-old. We don't know anything about that, or how he was as a like 5-year-old, or like a 3-year-old. We don't know. And the thing is, that's the whole point. But we can assume that Mary did a great job of raising him, or whoever that figure is, and every culture has that figure. you know, if it's ISIS, or who it's maybe like it could be, you know, like Lakshmi or something. You know, it's like that same with a baby holding a baby, and it's the same analogy. It's the same metaphor. And it's basically the Jews basically rejected him as the Messiah, um, and then I'm not going to get into the metaphysics of that. What are you drinking? I'm drinking something like stevia, 0 calorie. You know, it's like a drink. It's like it's like an energy drink, but it has a natural sweetener that does not induce a insulin response. It's from a plant, stevia plant, and I like it. It tastes like like a little drink. It has a fizziness to it, and I don't feel guilty about all these artificial chemicals in my body. Okay. I just bought this today. Quantum Universe. Now they're talking about the double slit experiment, where now they're catching. See, science is catching up to spirituality. Actually, quantum gravity. Okay, I mean science is catching up to spirituality. To be honest with you, because this is what all these sages and these mystics, you know, going through dimensions and doing the Kabbalah and doing these different mysticism things. This is what they talked about. This is what our religious text talks about. You know, like, how do you think the Prophet Muhammad went to the heavens on this Burak? You know, it's like, okay, what the heck is that? Obviously, it's in a different dimension. You know, and you can do that. And people can do that too. People, you know what? If a human did it in the past, which were prophets and this and that, then you can do it too. I'm not saying you will be the prophet. I'm saying is you can get to that level of. I'm not who to say I can't. You can't do that. Anything's possible in this universe, you know, in this Maya, this illusion, this hologram, and basically everything's happening in your mind. Think about it. If you believed, you know, for example, that that's something you're doing, right? There's something that you're good at, and imagine you at one time before you dove into that as a passion, you didn't believe in yourself as much, maybe, you know, and then you built confidence. As you got better, you built confidence, and then you basically it just became like a habit, you know, to do it and to pursue that. And this is what this is too, where you have limited beliefs too. You have limited beliefs that you've held on to since maybe you were 10 years old, since maybe that trauma happened to you 10 years ago. Maybe maybe you're traveling, you know, and you got groped, and you're still kind of like, you know, you're still kind of feeling traumatized from that because it happened to you when you were 10 years ago. Maybe you were 10 years old, and now you're 20 years old. See? And that trauma is still holding on to you. People underestimate trauma, past trauma in the life, that really subconsciously scars people. Really, a lot. All right. I'm going to read this book. This articles, magazine. it has this one topic. It's just quantum physics. Like, for example, here's the first article: Space, the final illusion. Head trip is cosmos random? You know, they're still talking about this. Is it random? If you think it's random, guess what? You're gonna live as it's random. And how can you believe anything's random? If you still believe things are random, man, you're just still a sheep. Okay. And I don't want to talk. I have nothing to tell you. You know, I have nothing to tell you if you think it's random. Then I used to think that way, and I'm just telling you that there is a better way to live. You know, there is a better way to traverse this dunya, traverse this illusion, and you can be well off, and you can be happy, and you can be fulfilled, and you can be healthy, and you can be optimistic, and you can be, you know, and nothing can take you down, because guess what? It's not you're just getting lifted up in your thought, in the way you eat. You see things happen to you, and things come in, deals come in, opportunities come in through just random ways, and you get the intuition to listen to those whispers, those little nudges that come, and you have to be quiet enough in your mind and not letting your ego run your life, and your physical wantingness, and your idea of, oh my god, I'm scared, what's going on, you know, mask, oh, this guy doesn't have a mask on, oh, why have masks, you know, why have masks, you know. I was caught in that little wave for a while, but whatever. I'm just watching as like, wow, I created this, you know. That's what you gotta do. You gotta look at life as it's not happening to you. It's happening for you, by you. It's happening for you, by you, to you, not to you, for you. Okay, it's 12 o'clock. I'm going to go outside for a little bit and see what's going on. And inshallah, if you want to join me, then just go outside and just look at this, just energy. Just soak in the energy, soak in the cool, crispy air, soak in that sacred sound. You know, isn't that sound sacred? The insects chirping away. It's sacred. It's amazing, right? That just to hear the. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s and all that stuff, and I miss the birds. You know, I sometimes don't hear any birds. I'm like, where the hell are the freaking birds? And the just the squirrels and the raccoons and stuff. It's like there's no freaking life in the suburbs anymore, you know? It's like I haven't seen it's like, what the hell? I haven't seen a squirrel in I saw a squirrel a couple days ago, actually, and I was like, wow, I saw a squirrel. And I was like looking at it and like, oh man, it's been a long time. And you know, go outside and just kind of realize that they are there, actually. And when you become aware of them, to see a squirrel, they're pretty well camouflaged. They are very well camouflaged. And to see animals in the suburbs in Southern California, they're pretty camouflaged. Okay, and to see them, you have to be paying attention to subtleties and just come across them, you know, just to randomly see them. you already have to have been in a higher consciousness in your mind. You can't be worried about your security, your beingness of, how am I going to pay the bills, or how is this going to happen, or my health is so bad, or I have pain, or this person, he's driving me crazy, or she's driving me crazy, or you're not thinking about squirrels and the life and birds and the dunya, and like seeing the majesty of it all, and it's all for you. Once you start paying attention to the stuff that is for you, which is the world and everything in it, Chico, anybody got that from Scarface? I want the world and everything in it, Chico, or something like that. Scarface, Tony Montana. This is my Tony Montana. Tony Montana. Gosh. Al Pacino, man. What a legend. Al Pacino? Ooh. Not so, I mean, I saw a movie of his a couple days ago on Netflix, and I was like, man, this movie's, it's just too, his is old, his is really old. And he's playing a cop that's like about to retire. Yeah, but he's no cop will retire that's 78 years old, you know what I mean? He's like 70 something years old. And he looks, he's old, man. He's been, I've seen him since the 70s, right? Dog Day Afternoon, 76. I think. Anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna start rambling, but seek that divine by, first of all, raising your thought to a higher frequency. And what's a higher frequency than the different names of the divine? And they're not only in Arabic, okay? They're in Hebrew. That's the ancient language. Hebrew, they're in Sanskrit. These names, these sacred names of the infinite, right? And these are attributes, right? These names are attributes, like mercy or the Al-Abrar, These are attributes. And what these attributes are the ones you invoke when you pray and make dua. You invoke them out of you, okay? And the thing is, I was watching those people doing the trance round and round, and the thing about that is that that's what they were doing. They were, first of all, breathing a certain way, and they were getting to a certain rhythm in a group a certain way, and you can feel the freaking energy. I was feeling the energy. I'm gonna use that to work out now, and that to me is the same thing they're doing. They're dancing. They're rotating around and doing all this stuff. That's just fine, because that's the ritual to bring down that energy of the divine in their life. And they're very secure people. Okay, they are very true. This is, that guy, what's his name, in Dagestan, all those people, these are all the same kind of people. Okay, what's his name, the fighter, the Khalid, whatever, the guy that beat McGregor a year ago, and all the Muslims are like, no, in 2018, he beat him, and all the Muslims were, they were all for it. But do you know his culture, the kind of Muslim he is? He's this kind of Sufi, and a lot of people in that here, you correlate. That's because he is that kind of Sufi and he believes those things. That's why he's such a great fighter. He has purpose. He has that vision, and everybody has that vision. It's just maybe you had a vision of yourself doing these great things and being this person and doing these awesome things, and then somewhere you got knocked down too many times or something, or you didn't believe in yourself, and you put a blanket, you put that vision in this corner, and you're gonna do it later, and then it got covered up more and more by more boxes. And imagine that as a light, and you put that light in a thin box, and then and then it's still light coming out of the corners and stuff, so you still remember it, but then you cover it over with a blanket, and then that light is like dim, and then another blanket, and there's no light. You can't see that light unless, and then you start putting all this stuff, piling it on top, and that light, which is your soul, which is your ultimate vision to escape out of this illusion, to have a life that is highly connected to the divine. And when you are connected to the divine is with you and everything, and it's like life just becomes at a different level. And it's a progress, it's a thing, it's a journey. And when this happens, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Alhamdulillah. Abracadabra. Bismillah. Okay, so I was saying something and I totally forgot. So I'm going to end it there, and really commit to your core, that light. Commit to resurrecting that light that is all the way in the corner, in that box somewhere. You'll not forget about it. Someday you will get forced to deal with it. And this is what this quarantine has done. You're forced to deal with that light now. Like, what do you have now? You have that. And the more you pursue it, in anything you do, don't just take it out of the box and let that light just crack, and let that light fester into your dark corners. It's like a light that spreads like a mold, in the physical, the mold is bad to spread, but in the spiritual, see, the physical, the mold is bad to spread, right? But that is from the mind. That something is spreading in your mind like a mold, and it's infesting your house, which is actually some thought that's within you. Like, it's really that deep. It's that spiritual. This is how, this is quantum physics. This is what this is freaking saying. But there's teachings and secrets and secretized secrets that got hidden from the masses by the system of the jal, by the system of the trickery, by the system that will deceive you, by the system that will make you go to sleep and try to do this. But that is within you too. But you're the only thing that allows that system to take control of you. The shaitan is not going to say, oh, he suggested it to you, you did it. So you actually got scared and you obliged. Alright, I gotta go. So, assalamu alaikum everyone, and have a wonderful evening.